Kaidale and I just got home from the beach. Yeah, you get your shovel and I'll get everything else. Super windy, so we brought our... You're still a little crabby. You can't lay on the grass, buddy. Come on, you gotta get up. Okay. Kaidale, we're never gonna make it back. Okay, we're kind of getting off to a bumpy start. And he's in his room relaxing and having a little bit of downtime. But recently, we have been going through a little bit of an extinction burst. And if you don't know what an extinction burst is, it's pretty much straightforward. It's a burst of behaviors that occur after an extinction. So, you know, taking something away or eliminating something. It can be whatever. In our specific case, I talked to y'all last vlog about reducing Kaidale's tablet time, which is kind of a big deal for him because he's really rigid about his tablet and his YouTube. And it's like the more he kind of has an addictive personality, like the more he has it, the more he wants it. And when he's watching YouTube, especially for extended periods of time, he has a tough time. He gets just really obsessive and fixated, and then it kind of snowballs, and then he gets emotional, and then he has a real tough time regulating his emotions, and then sometimes he lashes out. It's okay in moderation, but when he has like unlimited access to it is when we run into trouble. It's really nice during the school year when he's in school because I don't have to worry about, he's used to not getting it at school. So that's like a big chunk of his day that he's not getting it. And then I just have to fight the battle when he gets home. And what we started was we started taking it away around like dinner time. So like the evening. So he'd come home and he'd have like a big chunk of the afternoon to where he could have it. And, you know, if we're doing stuff, if we're out and about and he doesn't have it and he's not thinking about it, that's one thing. But if we're home, it's like he wants it, he's thinking about it. So that's Kaidale's extinction. Is last week was our first full week home from school, summer break. And that already is a disruption in his routine, which takes a little bit of adjusting and can be difficult for Kaidale. But on top of that, I decided that I was going to start limiting his window of opportunity where he gets his tablet. And I talked about this in the last vlog, but I'm starting with like a certain time of the day. So like 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. is the time that he can have it. But, you know, before 11 a.m., like basically when he wakes up, he has to wait a certain amount of time until he can get it. And then like around dinner time, I take it and he doesn't get it the rest of the evening. And that seems like a large window, but it's just a thing. It's just a thing with Kaidale, and this is the best we're doing right now. So I'm working on reducing that window over time. So like this week, it's 12 to 5. That is his window of YouTube time. So when he wakes up in the morning, it's the first thing he's asking for, and he drives me crazy about it until noon. But then at noon, he gets it. So I say that because we're currently seeing the aftermath of reducing that tablet time, or putting restrictions around his tablet time. Basically, it's not just a free-for-all, like there's restrictions now. And so now is where the extinction burst is coming into play. And last several nights he's just been like real emo going to bed, and I've just kind of noticed it like hit or miss. He just gets emotional and kind of starting to do things that he doesn't typically do, like wanting to like headbang and lash out at me. Nothing extreme, just kind of like precursor behaviors, which an ABA precursor behaviors are what you really want to pay attention to and not brush off, because the precursor behaviors can lead to much bigger behaviors. That's kind of Kaidale's way of, oh God, there's a bee. Oh, go away. I've got like a ton of sunscreen on me from the beach, and I think that bee's sniffing me out. But yeah, so precursor behaviors are really important. Anytime Kaidale, even if it's just kind of like a light little slap, like not really a slap, but just kind of like he's frustrated, or for him precursor behaviors can also be like he pushes his chin in frustration and he'll do it like really hard. And that's just like something that I as his caregiver need to be in tune with, to know that like, okay, he's agitated. So I'm gonna go ahead and like proactively think of ways to help him de-escalate before it snowballs and it escalates. So precursor behaviors are super important, and I've just noticed that he's just a lot more whiny, a lot more, you know, kind of moody and just frustrated, kind of. You know, he does like just like the whines, like the like just annoyed. And I'm thinking, like, what is the deal? You know, I haven't put that many demands on him. Like, we had a chill first week of summer. We've gone to the pool, we've gone on bike rides, you know, minimal chores. Like, what is the deal? Why is he so grumpy? And then it hit me like, oh, this is an extinction burst because I'm putting restrictions on his tablet time. And the reason that I'm able to think along these lines is because of ABA. It's because of Kaidale's specific team of ABA specialists that we've had over the last 3 or 4 years at JSA. We're no longer with them because we're not at JSA, but I do still keep in close contact with his BCBA. Not close contact. We touch base like once a month and do phone sessions to where we just kind of talk. If I need help like working through something, or like I need, you know, her advice or her opinion on like, hey, I'm kind of stuck on this, what do you think? Then like we have like monthly meetings over the phone. So we kind of do ABA, but not really. But because of the previous years at JSA, I was doing like heavy parent collaboration and parent training with this core group of ABA specialists who really have become like such a big part of our life. We really found our sweet spot. Like the stars aligned. We found the perfect combination of BCBA and RBT, which in the ABA world, RBT is registered behavioral therapist or technician. BCBA is board certified behavioral analyst, which is kind of like ahead of the RBT. So the BCBA is the one that studies the behaviors, comes up with the goals and the treatment plan, and then the RBT is the one that's more hands-on on like a daily basis of implementing the plans. But we were kind of just one big team, and we all knew Kaidale like the back of our hands, and we all really like came together to come up with these protocols and these rules that we now live by, and these philosophy, like the outlook. You know, my outlook has changed as a parent thanks to ABA and thanks to his team at JSA. And the thing about autism is not only autism, but just when you're dealing with a significant communication barrier, like with Kaidale, it's minimally verbal. So it feels like it makes parenting really difficult because it's a constant guessing game. I'm constantly just like, why is he frustrated? Why is this happening? Like, what's he trying to tell me? Like, where did this aggression come out of nowhere? Like, why is this happening or that happening? So you're constantly just trying to like process of elimination and like figure it out. And the whole purpose of ABA is to study behaviors. So I spent a good amount of time years ago when they were still learning Kaidale and studying his behaviors and figuring out kind of like what makes him tick, how he's thinking without him being able to tell us, because he can't. So we have to figure out how his mind works and how he's thinking. And one way that they do that is with ABC data sheets. And I'll never forget his BCBA, Jess. She would send me home with sheets of ABC data sheets, and it was like pages of just blank tables for me to fill out. So ABC, so she was wanting me to like track, you know, if we have like an incident, like a big meltdown or a little meltdown or anything, she would want me to like write it down. So what was the ABC? What was the antecedent? That's A. What occurred right before the behavior? Like what happened before that? B, what was the behavior? And then C, what was the consequence? How did I react? Did I ignore him? Did I take something away from him? Like, what was my reaction? Or what was the consequence? Or like, what was my reaction? The reason I'm going on and on is because I'm trying to explain the process of ABA and how it works, and why I personally feel like me and Kaidale's success is attributed to this, because I now have these tools and I now have the ability to think on these terms and it's really helped me to understand Kaidale. Because like I said, we don't have that back and forth communication. I can't negotiate with him. He can't explain himself to me. I have to go by nonverbal communication, which is huge. I mean, you can get a lot of communication out of nonverbal communication, but it's still limited. So thanks to ABA and this small group of specialists, Megan and Jess, his RBT and his BCBA. It was like we all just kind of came together and we're like, we're gonna figure you out, Kaidale. And we're gonna get through this together. And we did. And you know, it's just crazy because he was such a handful before, and now I just feel like I understand him so much better now. So I'm able to help him more because I understand him better. Going back to the extinction burst, you know, I now have the tools to be able to kind of sit back and reflect. And like, you know, before my mind just would have been racing with anxiety and worry and fear. Like, is he sick? Did something happen that he couldn't tell me about? My mind would have just been going. But now I have the ability to say, wait a second, I've seen this before. And I always say, this is silly, but I always say, WWJD, what would Jess do? Because Jess was his BCBA and she just got him. She just knew him. She got him. We would joke about how like they had like telepathic communication. Like it's just, she got him and she helped me to like by trying to think like she thinks and see things through her lens. It's just helped me to understand Kaidale so much. Going back to the extinction burst, you know, I was kind of starting to go through the parent worry sequence of events that I'm sure all you other autism parents can relate to, but just kind of like wondering, worrying, like what's wrong? Why has he been like this? And then I'm like, oh, well, duh, this is kind of a delayed extinction burst. So once we had our first week of summer, and Kaidale was like pretty cool with me putting restrictions around his tablet. Like he didn't like it, but he didn't seem to mind it too much. But after the first week of him tolerating that, which is what he was doing, he was tolerating it, you know, I think he started realizing this is a new norm. This isn't just something that, you know, mom did for a few days. This is like how it's going to be because I've been consistently doing it. So I think he realized that. And I think the reality of that started to set in for him. I think that's why it wasn't a immediate, you know, I'm triggered extinction burst reaction. Like it was a delayed extinction burst reaction because Kaidale has built up his tolerance over time and through ABA to be able to accept change and accept restrictions that are being put on him and accept things like that. He's tolerating it. So last week it was his like week of like, okay, I'm going to tolerate the things that mom's doing with my tablet and the fact that I can't have it when I first wake up. I have to wait a certain amount of time. I'm just going to tolerate it. And then over the weekend, I started seeing a little bit more emotion and a little bit more like stress and difficulty from him dealing with it. It's not a terrible extinction burst. He's just kind of been emotional, frustrated, kind of lashing out on me a little bit, but not a whole lot, just some of those precursor things I told you about. But I say all this to explain that I am very grateful because I now have the clarity as a parent, as an autism parent. I have the clarity to know nothing's wrong with him, like he's okay. This is just an extinction burst that we have to ride out. And then after we ride it out, he'll come to accept, you know, the new terms of what's being put in place, which is me restricting his YouTube because ultimately that's better for him. I could just let him have unlimited time, but that wouldn't be what's best for him, you know? So that's kind of what we're going through, but I just feel very grateful that I am now able to like see and acknowledge, okay, this is just an extinction burst and we just have to write it out. And then once we write it out and he accepts it, then it'll be so much better. He'll have less tablet time and he will no longer be just tolerating that. He'll come to accept it and be okay with it. And then that gives us other time to explore new interests and hobbies and, you know, do other things. So parenting is fun, right? Like it's all this crazy psychology and racking your brain and just, you know, ups and downs and all that good stuff. But in a nutshell, That's what an extinction burst is. Anything that you're going to remove or set restrictions on, it's a burst of behavior after you're setting a rule or a restriction of some sort. So for Kaidale, I'm grateful that I was able to acknowledge that he was moody and this and that, but that everything's okay. It's just an extinction burst that we got to write out. Probably on top of the reduced tablet time, it's a little bit of anxiety from his routine changing and shifting because he's not in school anymore. So that's that. We've had rougher starts to the summer. I will say this is not a rough start, just just a little bit of a bumpy start, but we've had much rougher starts to our summer breaks. So once he gets used to his new summer routine, it'll be all good. Come here, let me get some sunscreen on your forehead. Yeah, you get your shovel and I'll get everything else. And we'll go make a sandcastle. Oh man, what a pretty day. Let's go find a good spot and then we'll make a sandcastle. What are all those surfboards doing there? It's super windy, so we brought our lunch over here off the beach. We're having a little picnic and we're still a little crabby. Are you okay? Let me see your hand. Is it okay? Okay, we're kind of getting off to a bumpy start. We saw a snake and almost had a heart attack. It was dead, but still scared us half to death. Here, watch out. Scoot over. Scoot, 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 scoot over. And then Kaidale had a little tumble and scratched his hand, but that's okay. We're borrowing Grandma's roller skates because Kaidale outgrew his. And he actually does much better, I found out, on skates than blades. Are we taking a break? So I think we're gonna get some new roller skates for his birthday. Hey, get up. No. You can't lay on the grass, buddy. Come on. You gotta get up. People are probably wondering. Okay. What? You had black soda already. If you drink a cup of water, I'll get you some black soda. Keep going? Okay, goodbye, Jack's Beach. Doing pretty good there. Kaidale, we're never gonna make it back. Keep taking breaks. Oh my gosh, we keep taking breaks. Okay, now it is time for our weekly gymnastics class. We're gonna go run out some energy and get some good, constructive, healthy time in the gym.